some introduction about the definition of Fourier transform. Right. So Fourier transform is again operator transforms the function f of x from small f of x into capital F of s, right? So here you are transforming the function by finding the Fourier transform. So here capital F means Fourier transform. So you are transforming the function from f of x to f of s. Why we are doing this transformation? Again, the same reason what we have seen in the Fourier series. So in Fourier series, we are transforming the function into trigonometric functions because we already know the properties of trigonometric function. So it is easy to analyze the function, right? But in Fourier transform, one more thing is that not only you can transform the function from f of x to f of s, again you can apply another formula that is called inverse Fourier transform. There you can transform the function from again f of s to f of x. So original function is given in terms of f of x, that is transformed into f of s. Then after doing all the analysis, again the function f of s can be transformed into f of x. So these are the two formulas, right? When you see the formula, both are looks like same, right? 1 by root 2 pi, 1 by root 2 pi, same. Here the input function is f of x. Here the input function is f of s. Here e power isx, here e power minus isx. Here f of x, small f of x is there, so x is the variable. Here capital F of s is there, so s is the variable, right? But when you see in different books, there may be some different notations are there or different forms of definitions are there. When you see in some books, they put here, they put nothing here. They put 1 by 2 pi here. 1 by 2 pi, not root 2 pi, it's simply 1 by 2 pi. But no problem, right? When because this both the formulas coming from the same derivation. So in that derivation, sometimes they split 1 by root 2 pi as 1 by 2 pi as 1 by root 2 pi and 1 by root 2 pi, and they give the constant values 1 by root 2 pi, 1 by 2 pi equally to both the formulas. For some authors, they take nothing for this formula and they take the entire constant 1 by 2 pi in the inverse Fourier transform. That is one thing. And other thing is, in some book you can see minus sign here and plus sign here, but both are same because both are derived from Fourier integral theorem. So originally these two things are a multiple integral. From that multiple integral only we are segregating and we define the multiple integral as one integral as in Fourier transform and the another integral as inverse Fourier transform. You can see there are two integrals are there, right? So from this only you are getting the definition. Here 1 by 2 pi is there. Sometimes some authors they split this 1 by 2 pi as 1 by root 2 pi here. They put another 1 by root 2 pi here, right? So the inner integral is nothing but definition of Fourier transform. The outer integral is nothing but definition of inverse Fourier transform, right? Okay. So only thing is you have to mug up this formula. There is no other way, right? You just mug up the formula because derivations no need, right? Once you mug up the formula, straight away you can apply the Fourier transform. So there is no need to check whether it satisfies certain conditions or not. Straightforward problems will be given in the exams. Find the Fourier transform of some function they give. Then you can directly apply the formula and you can see, right? So I take this problem because this problem is very, very important. Even you can see in analysis, they ask so many times in exams, right? Right. So they're asking find the Fourier transform of a function small f of x. So you have to transform this function into f of s by applying Fourier transform. So first thing is you have to find f of s. So this is the first thing you have to find. The next thing is using that you have to show that this integral value is equals to 3 pi by 60, right? So this is some small application of Fourier transform, but I already told you either Fourier series or Fourier transform, it has applications in wave theory, right? So but mathematically also it has some small applications are there. Just like in Fourier series, we can evaluate certain infinite series using Fourier series representation. Similarly, here also by applying Fourier transform or applying inverse Fourier transform, we can evaluate certain integrals which are difficult to integrate usually. See, you can see here it is not easier one. It is sin s minus s cos s is there, s cube is there, cos s by 2 is there. So there is no standard formula is there to evaluate this. But using Fourier transform, we can evaluate this. Right? For that, we have to first find the Fourier transform first, and then I will tell you what to do to find this. Right? Okay. Here Before moving on to the problem, right, one or two things I want to tell you about the mod function, right? What is mod function? Here, f of x is defined 1 minus x square in the interval mod x less than or equals to 1. What is the meaning of mod x? Mod x is a function of x. Even mod x itself a function, right? So just like f of x equal 1 minus x square, mod x itself a function. It takes x as x itself. That is right when x is positive. Suppose you take x is equals to 2. So 2 is positive. So mod 2 value is as it is, mod x equal to x itself. Suppose if x takes the value a negative value, if suppose x takes a negative value, then mod x takes minus x value. Mod x takes minus x value. What is the meaning? Suppose if you want to find mod of minus 2, since minus 2 is a negative number, since minus 2 is a negative number, whenever x is negative, we have to define mod x as minus x. That means minus of x is minus 2. So again it become plus 2. So what happened? Mod of 2 is also 2, mod of minus 2 is also 2. Right? If you want to draw the graph of this curve, it will be like a V-shaped curve. Suppose for x is equals to 2, right? The function value is 4. Sorry, function value is also 2. Mod x value, right? This is x axis, this is mod x axis. That is y axis is nothing but mod x axis. X is 2, y is also 2. When x is minus 2, that time also y is 2. That time also y is 2. Whether it is positive or negative, mod x takes only positive value. So if you see the graph of the curve, it looks like this, a V-shaped curve. And automatically you can obviously it is understood that it is a even function. It is a even function because whatever the area covered here is same as covered here. Whatever the area covered from 0 to 2 is same from minus 2 to 0. So both area same. So if you integrate from minus 2 to 2, f of x dx, f of x dx, that is same as 2 times 0 to 2. 2 times 0 to 2, right? Because whatever the area covered from minus 2 to 2 is same as 2 times the area covered from 0 to 2 because of the symmetricity. Because of the symmetricity, right? So this is the idea behind that. Then here they put mod x less than or equals to 1, right? What is the meaning of mod x less than or equals to 1? Mod x less than or equals to 1. Meaning is you take any value for x, but its magnitude, that is otherwise the function value should be less than 1. So if you take any value between 0 to 1, between 0 to 1, always mod x is always less than or equals to 1. Because why? Because when you take mod x in between 0 to 1, mod x in between 0 to 1, right? When x is positive, you have to assume mod x equals to x itself. Mod x equals to x itself. So from 0 to 1, function value is also 0 to 1. So mod x is less than or equals to 1, right? But when you move from minus 1 to 0, when you move from minus 1 to 0, minus 1 to 0, in that case also if you put any value minus half, minus 2 by 3, minus 2 by 4 or minus 2 by 5, whatever it may be, that can also its value is less than or equals to 1. So whether x is positive or negative, in between minus 1 to plus 1, right? That magnitude, that is the sign is immaterial. The value of the number is whether it's less than or equal to 1. If you take any number in between 0 to 1 or any number between minus 1 to 0, its magnitude is always less than 1. So whether 2 by 3 is less than 1, similarly minus 2 by 3, right? Without considering the sign, 2 by 3 is less than 1. So mod x less than or equals to 1 means the set of all points lies between minus 1 to plus 1. So that only they mentioned here. So mod x less than 1 means set of all points minus 1 to plus 1. Then what is mod x greater than 1? Mod x greater than 1 means exactly the complement area. Complement area, apart from that area, all the other area covered. All the other area means this area as well as this area. What is this area? This area is running from minus infinity to minus 1. Minus infinity to minus 1. And this area moves from 1 to infinity. Moves from 1 to infinity, right? So whatever the numbers x value takes from minus infinity to minus 1 up to this number, then from 1 to infinity, right? So union of these two intervals covered here. So that they put x less than minus 1, x greater than 1. right? Or means union, right? Both the intervals. So what this means, the function takes the representation 1 minus x square. The function takes the representation 1 minus x square only in between minus 1 to plus 1. At all other places, the function value is 0. So this is the given function. So now we are going to find the Fourier transform of this function, right? So by definition, what is the Fourier transform? So here in this author, it takes 1 by root 2 pi in the Fourier transform definition itself. So I put 1 by root 2 pi. What is f of x? 1 minus x square. E power I s x is in the formula. Dx is also in the formula. But when you look at the interval, right, here it is minus infinity to, right, here minus infinity to plus infinity. But here it is only minus 1 to plus 1. Why? Because the function itself defined only from minus 1 to plus 1. At all other places, the function value is equals to 0. So if function value is 0, automatic integral value is also 0. So that they put only minus 1 to plus 1. Right? Okay. Now you have to use the Bernoulli's formula. But here they use Bernoulli's formula straightforwardly, right? So even you can do like this, no problem. By take u equals to 1 minus x square, dv as e power isx. So here that is not minus, it is plus isx and is, and then you can do. Otherwise, you can do one more thing, right? You can split this as e power isx. I already told you e power ix is nothing but cos x plus I sin x. Cos x. Yesterday, when I discussed complex form of Fourier series, that time I told e power ix is cos x plus I sin x. So here, when you when you explain this, it will be cos x plus I sin x. And already you know one is a constant. Constant can be considered as 1 minus x, in that 1 minus x square. Constant can be considered as zeroth polynomial. So zeroth polynomial is always a even polynomial. Similarly, x square term, it is also a even function when you consider it from minus 1 to plus 1. So both 1 as well as x square is even. So 1 minus x square is also, you take it as even. And if that is multiplied with cos x, if that is multiplied with cos x, right? Cos x, right? Cos x means that is multiplied with this expansion, because e power isx as cos sx plus I sin sx plus I sin sx, right? So then you can multiply 1 minus x square with cos x, 1 minus x square with cos x, that become even function, because 1 minus x square is a even function, cos x is also even function, even into even is a even function, even into odd is odd, odd into even is also odd, but both odd become even, as well as both even also even, right? So here 1 minus x square into cos x is even, but 1 minus x square into sin x is odd. So now even though this derivation is correct, right, it's nothing there, but I can simplify this derivation by using like this. So you just follow me. So what I can do is I put 1 by root 2 pi as it is, no problem. But instead of minus 1 to plus 1, I can put 2 times 0 to 1. Why? Because now my 1 minus x square is a even function, as well as cos x is also even. But my 1 minus x square into sin x become odd. So in that time minus 1 to plus 1 become a 0, right? So since 1 minus x square and cos x is even, this my product is even, I can write minus 1 to plus 1 as 2 times 0 to 1, 1 minus x square cos x dx. But 1 minus x square into sin x become 0, because this is even, sin x is odd, so the whole term become odd. In that case, minus 1 to plus 1 of odd term becomes 0. So we get only cos x. Now you can apply the same idea, Bernoulli's formula, 1 minus x square as u dash as minus 2x, and u double dash as minus 2, and u triple dash as 0, right? So u triple dash is 0. So now you can split dv as cos x dx. So dv as cos x dx, cos sx dx. So v1, integral of u1 is, sin x. So this is integral cos is sin sx divided by, since you are integrating with respect to x, s is a constant, so you can write s in the denominator. then v2. So v2 is integral of sine is minus cos, so minus cos sx divided by s square. Similarly, v3 is integral of cos is plus sine, so minus sine. This minus is this. Integral of cos is plus sine, so sine sx by s cube. Right? So you can write u dash and v1, v2, v3 like this instead of exponential function. Right? Then after that, you have to put the limits only 0 to 1. You have to put the limits only 0 to 1. So now look at this. So 1 by root 2 as it is. This 2 as it is, no problem. But now I can rewrite uv1. uv1. uv1 means 1 minus x square into sin sx by s. Minus u dash v2. U dash v2 means minus 2x minus cos sx by s square plus u double dash v3. U double dash is again minus 2 and v3 is minus sin nx by s cube. And you have to put the limits 0 to 1. 0 to 1, not minus 1 to plus 1. Right? So when you put the limit 0 to 1, you put the limits 0 and 1. So limit should be 0 and 1. Right? When you substitute x equal to 1 here, first term. Right? So this term already 1 minus x square is there. So 1 minus 1 becomes 0. So when you put x equal to 1, this term won't come because 1 minus 1 becomes 0. When you put the lower limit x equal to 0, again sin 0, 0. So this term won't come for upper limit as well as the lower limit. Then here when you put x equals to 1, there are 3 minus signs are there. So 3 minus signs become single minus sign. And when you put x is equals to 1, this is 2 into 1, 1 into cos, right, s by s square because you are putting x is equals to 1. So it is 2 times cos s by s square. Right? That is one term. When you put x equal to 0, lower limit, since cos 0 is 1, but when you put x equal to 0, this term becomes 0. Right? So now we have only one term, that is 2 cos s by s square. Similarly, when you apply the third, for the third term, when you apply the limit, x is equals to 1, this is minus and minus become plus, minus and become plus, so this is plus 2 times sin s by s cube. 2 times sin s by s cube. 2 times sin s by s cube. Okay, write in a separate manner. Right? So you just understand, try to understand 2 cos s by s square plus 2 sin s by s cube. The denominator is s cube. 2 cos s by s square plus 2 sin s by s cube. Apart from that, we have the constant outside, that is 1 by root 2 into 2. 1 by root 2 into 2. Right? So now you can see, right, here sin s by s cube and then cos s by s cube. Right? So the second term is negative term. Right? I put 3 minus sign, so 1 negative minus sign. So cos s by s square and this is sin s by s cube. Right? Already we have 1 2 outside. Right? Already we have 1 2 outside. That 2 is multiplied with this 2, then become 4. That 2 is multiplied with this 2, then become 4. Right? That is one thing. And then here you may ask, sir, this cos s by s square, this is sin s by s cube. They multiply 1s both in the denominator as well as in the numerator, so that it become like this. Anyway, I'll write in a separate manner. So whatever we have is 1 by root 2 numerator 2. This we have in the outside. And inside we have minus 2 cos s by s square. And then we have plus 2 sin s by 2s. sorry, 2s cos s, 2s cos s, right? And then sin s by s cube, right? 1 by root 2 pi 2 times minus 2 s cos s by s cube. You may ask, sir, how this s comes, right? Because originally it is only x square, but I multiply and divide one more s, so it becomes minus 2s cos s s cube plus sin s by s cube. It is already there. Plus 2 sin s by s cube is already there, right? So now I take these two, that is these two outside. So this 2 comes outside, then becomes 4. So that the final answer it is 4 root 2 pi. And then what I return is, since s cube is common, since I multiply one s both in the numerator as well as the denominator and make the denominator as s cube, so that I take the s cube common, and then I write it as sin s, that is the term is here, minus s cos s, that is the term here, right? So this is the final answer for Fourier transform, right? Fourier transform. But anyway, you can use the same thing here also, no problem, right? Whatever the method you can use, but whenever you use that odd even property, that is always a nice one. That is always a nice one, right? Okay. But you may ask, sir, this is the end of the problem. No, because in the problem, they are not only asking find the Fourier transform, they are also asking um, to show this integral value is equals to 3 pi by 6. But how to evaluate this? Using the Fourier transform, right? For that, what you have to do now, you have to apply inverse Fourier transform. Usually in Fourier series, you are applying some values for x, all these things. But here, you can apply the inverse Fourier transform of this function. So if you apply inverse Fourier transform of whatever you have found now, so now whatever you have found, it is f of s. Now if you apply inverse Fourier transform for this f of s, then what you get? You will get the original function f of x, whatever given in the function, whatever given in the problem itself, right? So applying inverse Fourier transform, right? So what is inverse Fourier transform formula? 1 by root 2 pi minus infinity to plus infinity f of s e power minus isx dx, right? So here you just put 1 by root 2 pi as it is, 1 by root 2 pi as it is. In place of f of s, you substitute this term, or 4 by root 2 pi as it is. Then here e power minus isx is there. That you can write here. Now you have to use whatever I told, because this is easier. Now you are told whatever I told when we found Fourier transform. You can split e power minus isx as cos x minus I sin x. Cos x minus I sin x. Right? And now you have to argue like this, right? Since sinus is a odd function. The explanation is given here, but you can straight away you can argue. Sinus is a odd function, right? Cos is a even function. Cos is a even function. So when you put, sorry, here they put that s outside. You have to put s here, right? So when you take sinus minus s cos s, sinus minus s cos s, and you change GSS minus s, that is f of x as f of minus x. Wherever s is there, you put minus x, right? Then you will get finally g of s. That means, right, wherever you place x as minus s, and whatever you are getting finally as g of s itself. So it is something like, if you put f of minus x is f of x itself. Even if you change x as minus x, the function value for f of minus x is same as f of x. What is the meaning of this? This is a definition of even function. This is the definition of even function. In other words, you can argue sinus is a even odd function, cos is an even function. So on the whole, this is an odd function. S cube is also an odd function, but odd into odd become a even function. So totally, this total function is a even function. Multiplied with cos x is also even. The total is even. Multiplied with cos x is also even. So even to even, the entire thing become an even function. But here, when you see this entire function is even, but sinus x is odd, so even into odd become odd, so this value itself 0, this value itself 0. So now we have to evaluate only this, we have to evaluate only this, right? So that we can see here, right? So when you see this, it is f of x equals to 2 by pi sin s minus s cos s by s cube cos s x dx. But when you see the original problem, when you see the original problem, right? What they're asking, they are asking to evaluate sin s minus s cos s by s cube. So whatever this representation is already there in your f of s, and here they are asking cos s by 2 ds. But now we have cos s ds, not s by 2. Cos sx ds you have, right? Not s by 2. So now what you have to do, right? Remember in this integral, s is the variable, s is the variable. So x is something like a constant. So what we need here, we need s by 2. So we can assume x as 1 by 2. So if you assume x as 1 by 2, in place of x, we can put 1 by 2, then automatically we'll get the representation in sin s minus s cos s divided by s cube cos s by 2. And one more thing you have to look at, previously the limit is minus infinity to plus infinity, but here we multiplied 2, so it becomes this is 2 times 0 to infinity. So this is 2, right? So this is 4 by pi 0 to infinity sin s minus s cos s by s cube. Only thing is you have to put in place of x 1 by 2. So if you put x is equals to 1 by 2, we will get the nice form. So this representation only we need. This representation only we need, right? Okay. This 4 by pi is a constant that you can take outside. Sorry, on the other side. But you have to look at one more thing, right? Because what is there in the other side? The other side is f of x, right? So here, if when you substitute x is equals to 1 by 2, the right hand side also you have to substitute f of x is equals to 1 by 2. So you have to find what is f of 1 by 2, right? How to find? Very simple, because in the problem itself, f of x is defined. What is f of x? F of x is equals to 1 minus x square when x lies between minus 1 to plus 1, and it takes the value 0 when x is other range. So when you assume x is equals to half, x is equals to half, definitely half lies in this interval. So the representation of f of half is, the representation of f of half is 1 minus x square, that is 1 minus half square, 1 minus half square. But what is half square? Half square is 1 minus 1 by 4, that is 3 by 4, right? So f of 1 by 2 value is 1 3 by 4. So that only they put it here. So you may ask why directly it's this, how this 1 minus 1 by 4 comes. This is nothing but 1 minus x square value, that is 3 by 4. So right hand side value is 3 by 4, right? And this is have a representation, nice representation. This 4 by pi comes this side as pi by 4, pi by 4. So in that case 3 pi by, in that case it is 3 pi by 4 into 4 16. So here you get pi by 4 in a nice manner, so that when you multiply this you will get 3 pi by 16, 3 pi by 16, right? So now you can able to evaluate this integral and you can show that it is equals to 3 pi by 60, right? So this is a simple application of Fourier transform, particularly for I already told you the real application is in wave theory, but when you want to practice, right, not only wave theory, wherever the wave theory means not only electrical waves or not only magnetic waves, even thermal waves, yeah, because you have MTech thermal engineering, right? So when you go to for PG, right, there are also Fourier series and Fourier transform are there as a separate paper for mathematics, and also it has a lot of application in your core subject, right? But here you are understanding everything as a tool, so that you are doing problems how to apply Fourier transform, how to apply inverse Fourier transform, using that how to evaluate certain integrals. All these things are something like a practice, something like a practice. At your level, this is more than sufficient, right? So this is full 10 marks problem. You have to find the Fourier transform first, right? Just like this, and then you have to apply inverse Fourier transform and then find the value, right? So there are certain problems in which they give the inverse Fourier transform value first. Fourier transform means they give f of s first. Instead of f of x, they give f of s itself. And they are asking find the inverse Fourier transform. And they are asking find the inverse Fourier transform. In that case, you have to use the inverse Fourier transform first, right? And transforming f of s into f of x. And then whatever the thing they were asking to evaluate, that you can evaluate by applying Fourier transform on your f of x. Fourier transform on your f of x. So whatever we did now, exactly we can do the ulta form. That is now what we did in this problem. F of small f of x is given. We found capital F of s. Then after finding capital F of s, we apply inverse Fourier transform, and then we evaluate this integral. The same thing can be doing in the reverse process. Sometimes they give f of s first, then you have to apply inverse formula first, and you have to get f of x. Then after getting f of x, again you apply Fourier transform formula, right? And try to evaluate this type of integrals. So this is the basic thing in Fourier transform. So same formula, f of x e power isx or f of s e power minus isx. So only thing you should know to solve Fourier transform formula is very simple. You should know basic integration as well as differentiation, and then Bernoulli's formula. This is more than sufficient. And then you have to mug up the formula very well. You should not put any mistake in the negative sign or positive sign or in the limits. And one more thing, you should know about the odd even property nature of the function. Whenever it is different from -1 to +1, only in that interval it will work, from -a to +a, -1 to +1. For other interval it won't work, right? So this is the idea behind the general Fourier transform problems, right? Particularly in Fourier transform, there are some properties are there, right? That is very, very important, because usually in exam they are asking the properties, right? So now for the next 20 minutes, we will see the properties one by one very quickly. Then we will see about Fourier sine transforms and inverse Fourier sine transform, and Fourier cosine transform and inverse Fourier cosine transform also, right? And then problems based on that also, right? Okay. So now we just see some properties of Fourier transform, because properties are very, very important in Fourier transforms. So first property, uh, linearity property. So all the properties, you just ask state and prove linearity property. You have to write this line, entire line. You have to write the statement, and then you have to write the proof also. But proofs are very simple, straightforward one. You can easily understand, and you can easily do it also in the examination, right? So what they are asking, they are telling what is linearity property. They are telling if f of s and g of s are the Fourier transforms of the function f of x and g of x, meaning is Fourier transform of f of x is denoted by f of s, Fourier transform of g of x, both are different functions. So since the functions are different, I use capital F for one function and capital G for another function. But capital G is not any other thing. It is also Fourier transform, representing Fourier transform for g of x, right? Or otherwise, you can simply, instead of g of, you can simply use only this notation, because this notation will confuse you, f and g. You just use this notation, f of x, f of g of x. But what the property says? The property says if you want to find Fourier transform of sum of two functions, Fourier transform of, I just write, right? Fourier transform of sum of two sum of two functions. Fourier transform of sum of two functions is equals to sum of their transforms. Fourier transform of sum of two function is equals to sum of the transforms. How? See here, a f of x plus b g of x. The entire thing we consider as a single function. That is sum of two functions. F of x is one function, g of x another function. Say f of x is sin x, g of x is cos x. So sin x plus cos x is again a function of x. So finding Fourier transform of sin x plus cos x is same as finding Fourier transform of cos x separately and finding Fourier transform of sin x separately, and then adding. So a and b are some numbers. 2 sin x plus 3 cos x is same as 2 times Fourier transform of cos x plus 3 times Fourier transform of sin x. So Fourier transform of sum of two functions. Sum of two functions means f of x plus g of x is same as sum. Sum means this is sum, adding sum of their transforms. So after finding the transforms, you have to summing the transforms. Sum of. F of s is one transform, g of s is another transform, and you are adding the two transforms. That is called as sum of the transforms. So both are same, right? So whenever a bigger function is given, you can simply find the Fourier transforms for each and every function separately, and then you can add. That is the meaning. That is the whenever a big function is given with x square plus cos x plus log sin x, some a big function is given, then you have to find Fourier transform for each and every function separately, and then you can add it. Okay, that is the meaning of this property. But how to prove it? Very simple. By definition, what is Fourier transform? By definition, Fourier transform is 1 by root 2 pi minus infinity plus infinity wherever f of x is there. I already told you if f of x and g of x are functions of x, a times f of x plus b times g of x is again a function of x. That you put the function, and then you have to put e power plus isx dx. In some book, they put minus n, right? But both are same because always Fourier transform applied both with Fourier transform as well as inverse Fourier transform. So when you apply Fourier transform, and after if you apply inverse Fourier transform, automatically the sign will adjust accordingly. Sign will adjust accordingly. But now what we have to do, right? How to split this? We know a property of integral. What is the property of integral? Same property. If you want to integrate like this, then you can multiply f of x with e power isx, and you can take that is right as a separate integral. Then g of x with e power isx, and you can write that as a separate integral, right? And in integration, you can take the constant outside. A can be out and b also can be taken outside. Now you can look at this. After so this is purely the properties of integrals. Properties of integrals. Now you can see this integral. This integral is nothing but definition of Fourier transform of the function x, and you can see this integral. This is the definition of Fourier transform of the function g, and now this plus sign is in between, right? So this is the simple example proof, right? We can split the integral. So if you can able to split the integral, we can split the Fourier transforms also. We can split the Fourier transforms also, right? So this is very simple one. So second one is here they put a shifting property and then change of scale property. In some book they put this as second change of scale property as second one. Anyway, we'll see change of scale property first, then we will see the other property. Because this is very important. So here they're asking, selling if Fourier transform of f of x is f of s, that Fourier transform of f of ax is equals to 1 by a f of s by a. What is the meaning of this? Right? Suppose if you know Fourier transform of f of x, suppose f of x is sin x, then we can able to find Fourier transform of f of ax. F of ax means f of x is sin ax. Suppose sin 2x or sin 3x. Right? So if you want to find Fourier transform of sin ax, right? F of s by a means Fourier transform find Fourier transform of f of x, find Fourier transform of f of x, that is f of s, and in that change s as, in that representation change s as s by a and multiply 1 by a, right? Multiply 1 by a in the before, multiply 1 by a before, right? So what is the meaning of this, right? Because whenever a function is given, if we change the variable as from x to ax, then the function itself a bigger function, function itself a bigger function. For example, if I tell f of t equals to f of x is equals to x square plus log x, then or x power 10 into log x, then if I write f of ax, then this is not a times, this is ax of power 10 plus log of ax, right? So this becomes a power 10 x power 10, not simply multiply, right? So don't think a times x means we multiply a with f of x, not multiplying a with f of x. In f of x itself, we are putting wherever x is there, we replace a x as ax, so that it become a bigger expression, right? Like this, right? So whenever for if you want to find Fourier transform of f of ax, simply find Fourier transform of f of x so that you can find f of s and change their s as s by a. Change s as s by a, right? But what is how to prove this? How to prove this, right? So by definition, what is Fourier transform of Ax? This is the definition of Fourier transform of Ax. In that f of Ax, write Ax as some u, right? Then du is a dx. Then du is a dx. Then dx can be written as du by a. Now assuming a is positive, but even a is negative, we can prove it, that we will see here in the note, right? When a is positive, right? Since a is positive, whenever x is minus negative, u is also minus negative. Whenever x is plus negative, u is also plus negative, because a is only a constant. A is only a constant. It's a positive constant. So if you multiply a with infinity, again it is a infinity. So just like here x varies from minus infinity to infinity, now u also varies from minus infinity to plus infinity. But in place of ax, you can put u now. And similarly, in place of x, you can put u by a. Remember, in place of x, not in place of s. In place of x, right, you can put u by a. And in place of dx, you can put du by a. In place of dx, you can put du by a. So what are the changes here? What are the changes here? Right? In limits, same thing. No change. In ax, it becomes u. In place of x, u by a. In place of dx, du by a. Right? Now what you have to do now? You take this a outside. You take this a outside here. And then try to write, since u is the variable, because with the du, so here s is like a constant, so this s and a can be written as a single identity like s by a, right? We are not changing anything, we are just rewriting. Instead of u by a, since s is also in the numerator, s is also in the numerator, so instead of writing I s u by a, I am writing I times s by a u, but still s is in the numerator, a in the denominator, right? And then check what is this. This is also looks like the definition of Fourier transform, but in place of s, now s by a is there. See, this is the Fourier definition of Fourier transform. E power I s x. So e power I s here u du. So this is a, like just like the definition of Fourier transform, but here the only change is in place of s by a is there. So 1 by a f of s by a. 1 by a f of s by a. Then you may ask, sir, if A is negative, then what will happen? Very simple change. If A is negative, the only change is, right, whenever you write u equals to ax, whenever you write u equals to ax, when x is negative, when x is negative, u becomes positive. U is positive. See here, when x is negative, u is positive. Similarly, when x is positive, u becomes negative. U becomes negative, because when x is positive, since a is negative, even though it is a very small number, but if you multiply minus with infinity, it becomes minus infinity. So only thing is, right, previously it is nicely plus infinity minus infinity, but now it is infinity comes down, minus infinity goes up, right? So in that case, what we can do? Very simple. If you want to change the order of the limits, you want to change the order of the limits. Want to change the order of the limits, right? Only thing you have to interchange the limits, right? Only 1 minute. Okay. So if you want to change the order of the limits, right? So what you have to do? Make it clear. Okay. So now if you want to change the order of the limits from minus 50 to plus 50 to minus 50 to plus 50, see here the infinity is denominator, but here infinity become numerator. What you have to do, you have to take one minus sign outside. That means if minus 50 to plus infinity is there, this is the property of integral. If you inject a minus sign, then the limit will change. It becomes plus infinity to minus infinity, vice versa, right? So if you want to change the order of the limit, you have to inject one minus sign. That is sufficient for changing the order, right? It is there the property of integration. So they apply that idea. So they insist on I here, then automatically it becomes minus infinity to plus infinity, right? Apart from that, there is no change yet. Whatever here 1 by a f of s by a, same thing 1 by a. This is also again f of s by a, right? So whenever a is positive, this is 1 by a f of s by a. Whenever a is negative, this is 1 minus 1 by a f of s by a, minus 1 by a f of s by a, right? So when a is positive, f of ax is minus 1 plus 1 by f of s by a. When a is negative, it is minus 1 by f of a. Now we can combine these two things and we can write it as a single identity, right? Here you can say 1 by a. This is 1 by a is a constant when a is positive, and here it is minus 1 by a. It is minus 1 by a when a is negative. Then I can write this combinedly as mod of 1 by a. Mod of 1 by a. Because that's now I told. Mod x means what? When the inner variable is positive, then it takes the same value. If a is positive, right? A is positive, right? Mod 1 by a is 1 by a itself, right? But when a is negative, then mod 1 by a becomes minus 1 by a. So these two things combinedly can be written as 1 by mod a. 1 by mod a, right? That is given here. That is given here, right? So this is that proof of the property number 2. Property number 2. So we will see two more properties, very simple properties, and then we wind it up, right? So the third property is very simple one, right? A shifting property in X. Shifting property in X. So what is the meaning, right? That previously you see f changes f of ax, but here f changes f of x minus a. So what is the meaning? Suppose f of x is x square. If you know the Fourier transform of x square, then they are asking what is the Fourier transform of f of x minus a. F of x minus a means it is not simply x square minus a. Wherever x is there, you have to change this as x minus a, the whole square. Suppose here f of x is x square plus sin x. F of x is x square plus sin s. Then f of x minus a become x minus a the whole square into sin x minus, right? So finding Fourier transform of f of x minus a is little bit difficult. But what the property says, no, it says if you want to find Fourier transform of f of x minus a, simply find Fourier transform of f of x and multiply e power ias. Multiply e power ias, right? So if you want to find Fourier transform of f of x minus a, simply find Fourier transform of f of x that you know already, right? And then multiply with e power minus ias. That will be the solution. But how? Proof is very simple, right? You just write as it is. Fourier transform of f of x minus a, f of x minus a, right? Then you put x minus a as some u, right? U. Then du equals to dx, du equals to dx, right? And infinity to minus infinity as it is. F of x minus a change it as f of u. F of x minus a change it as f of u. E power I s x. In place of x, you can substitute a plus u. Because u is x minus a, so if this a goes that side, then x is equals to u plus a. S is equals to u plus a. So in place of x, I can substitute u. In place of x, I substitute u plus a. Right? Now what I can do, no, here there is no need to integrate, right? Just simplification. So f of u as it is. What is f of u? F of x minus a. Here e power isu is there, e power isa is there. So e power isu you split separately. So that is, since u is the variable, you have to keep that thing inside. But e power isa. So when you see e power isa, it is neither a function of u. A is not a function of u. Similarly, s is also not a function of u. So you can take the e power isa outside. E power isa outside. So if you take e power isa outside, what are the things inside? 1 by root 2 pi f of u e power isu du. E power isu du. Right? So now e power ias is outside. f of u e power isu du is inside. Now look at this. What is this? This is again a function, nothing but the definition of Fourier transform of f, right? You may have said it is in u, no problem. Whether it is x or u, that is a running variable. So here the previous, right, originally the running variable is x, 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 but here the running variable is u, u. So by definition, what is this? This is the definition of Fourier transform, right? So you can simply write e power isa Fourier transform of the given function. That is f of s. So this is called shifting in a, because, sorry, shifting in x, because here instead of take the origin from x, it that takes origin to x minus a. Then what is the change here? You have to multiply e power ias, and then straight away you find Fourier transform of x and multiply with e power minus ias. Then automatically that gives you Fourier transform of f of x minus a, right? So only one more minute I will tell, right? Shifting in, yes, with that, right, we will close to today's class, right? So that is called shifting in, yes. Shifting in, yes means, right, here it is happens, that is shifting happened in yes. So what is f of s plus a? F of s plus a is nothing but finding f of s for its function f of x, right, and then changing s as s plus a, then changing s as s plus a, right? So here how to prove it, right? Here we have to prove it in a reverse manner, right? You just take what is Fourier transform of x. Fourier transform of x is this. But what is given in the statement? They are asking Fourier transform of f of x multiplied with e power minus ix. So e power ix is a function of x here. Previously it is function of s, e power isx. But now here it is a function of x multiplied with x. And this is the answer. So whenever you multiply e power ix with f of x, whenever you multiply e power ix with f of x, right, you'll get the you'll get the right. Hmm. Whenever you write uh, e power minus iax f of x, e power minus iax f of x by definition, because since f of x is a function of x, e power iax into f of x is again a function of s only. So by definition, they're writing this. Then they do a simple thing, right? Yes, in the previous property, you are splitting the exponential function. Here, you have to join this exponential function, right? Here e power I, here also e power I is there, here also x is there, here also x is there. Only thing is here a is there, here s is there. But in the integral dx, both s and a looks like a constant. So they multiplying these two exponential function, then the powers are added. Okay, this you know already. In the exponential functions, if you multiply the exponential functions, the powers are added. So e power I x common s plus a is there, right? 1 by 2 pi f d or as it is, right? Now you can, when you see this, right, this is again a definition of Fourier transform. Definition of Fourier transform. There, in place of s, s plus a is there, right? So what is the original formula? F of x e power isx dx. But here f of x e power I s plus a dx. So in place of s plus a is there, right? So this is the um, proof of the shifting in yes. Why it is called shifting in yes? Because here from f of s to it goes to f of s plus a. So there is a shift in s from s to s plus a. But why that shift happened? Because you multiplied e power iax with f of x. E power iax with f of x. So finally, one more minute, right? I will explain what is this. With that, right, we will finish off today's case. So what this modulation property tell? Modulation property tell, instead of multiplying an exponential function, if I multiply a cos ax with my original function f of x, then what will be the representation? The representation says it is 1 by 2 f of s plus a and f of s minus a. How it is? Very simple proof, right? Same thing. By definition, Fourier transform of any function can be written like this: f of x e power isx dx. Now you have to use the property that I told yesterday, right? What is cos ax? Cos theta is e power I theta plus e power minus I theta divided by 2. This is the relation between cos theta with e power I theta. So you have to put that thing. then f of x as it is, e power I asx as it is. Now what you have to do now, you have to multiply the exponential function e power iax with e power isx. That is first one. Then e power minus iax with e power isx. Then you will get two integrals. One is with e power iax with into f of x into e power iax. That is one thing. Then e power minus iax with e power f of x, sorry, with f of x and with e power ix. That is the other thing, right? In both the cases, you can both the cases you can see their notation separately, right? So here you can join this to exponential function. You will get s and a common. Sorry, apart from s and a, everything is common. So you take s plus a. And here also I and x is there. Here plus s is there. Here minus a is there. So s minus a can be written as there. Here s plus a can be written as there. So just now we have seen this is the definition of Fourier transform. In place of s plus a is there. So this can be written as f of s plus a, and this can be written as f of s minus a. But what is the original meaning of this? Original meaning of this is find f of s, and change s as s plus a. Similarly, this also find f of s and change s as s minus a. Right? So I think with this we can stop, right? Uh, Transform sixth property. Okay, we'll see it in the next class. Okay. So I'm maybe a little bit fast, right? But anyway, we don't have time to do it. But anyway, all these properties are easy to understand so that you can easily study by yourself itself, right? So my sincere advice is don't waste the time, right? You have Diwali, okay, but you have no more time for studies.